Here's me, about to start this first game of Titanfall for the night, and I talked a little bit about how my thumbsticks are starting to feel loose, and I saw this thing online that's gonna let me take it apart and I'm gonna make it feel brand new. And as I go from the dropship onto the ground, it's almost like I rolled my ankle. Something is not right. And it starts kind of showing up more and more as the video goes on. I'm like, can't get any boost off of those grapples because my bumper feels off. And I'm not even using the right setup. This is my late game build where I start needing to take care of Titans, and since I like getting out of it, I put on the Phase Embark. It actually is a pretty nice combo. Unexpected. But this whole time, this is when I'm starting to question what is going on with my controller. And I think it makes for a good time to talk about hardware. Like right there, I missed another jump. I'm like, what is going on? And as I'm playing, I'm also trying to figure out how am I going to get this bumper to work and like really what's wrong. I was like, why is it not being consistent? It doesn't seem to be hitting the click all the time. And it turned out to be that on the Elite controller, there's like one solid bar that goes across for the bumpers, for both bumpers. So it kind of bends together. It's kind of like a bow. And if you snap the bow in half, there's nothing keeping the bumpers in place laterally, and it starts shifting left and right. And you may be asking, why is this important? Why do we even want to hear about your broken controller? It's because you kind of have to look at your own hardware. From the beginning, Titanfall was one of those games that if you didn't have an Elite controller, it's not as comfortable to play because you have to do a lot of jumping and crouching all at the same time, and on top of that you have to use your tactical. If you're somebody that uses grapple like me and you don't have that button readily available because you're worried about doing any other action in the game, because there literally is not enough fingers for you to do it without an Elite controller. You can be fast at it, but you're way faster with an Elite, and there's less margin for error. Because you're not moving your fingers, you're just pressing. They're already there. That's what the beauty of paddles is. And that's what the real beauty of a keyboard and a mouse is. You've seen a mouse with like 30 buttons on it. Like, you can set those to whatever you want. But some people are gonna be like, you can still play really well without it. You can bunny hop and all that stuff. And yes, you can. If I were to play with a regular controller, I'd probably still be decent. It's not like I'm gonna forget how to do everything. But I would personally consider it uneven ground to play against somebody with a regular controller in most games. For mouse and keyboard players, even then it's not fair. While some of the moves are easier to pull off on PC, the way that you set up your controllers even there is going to make a difference. Are you putting your weapon changes on your mouse buttons? Are you putting it, what keys? How are you setting up your keyboard in order to make it as efficient as possible for you? Because first you need good muscle memory for it, especially if you're going to be switching between games. Sometimes people will do common builds for all of their setups. This is going to be jump, this is going to be crouch, this is going to be aim down sights, whatever the case may be. Some games will prioritize a certain button more than others, at which times you may want to switch it out to something a little bit more comfortable. Let's get back in the ion. It doesn't matter as much if I miss a boost. When you're a pilot and you miss jumps, it hurts. It hurts a lot. But customizing your controller is important, and also having just good hardware in general. Controllers wear out. It's not a bad idea to get warranty on some of these things. I had a really sweet plan at one point. It was super cheap, and within a year, if you came in with a busted controller, no questions asked, they just gave you a new one. And I would just continuously keep getting the same warranty. I didn't get it with my Elite because at the time they just were not available anywhere, and I ended up buying it off of Kijiji. So I was not going to get any kind of warranty there because the guy did not have the receipt or anything. So I got what I got, and that was that. But the controller still lasts me a ton of time. But what I want you guys to know is that you can make a lot of your own repairs on these controllers. Like, don't be afraid to open them up, because when one button starts sticking or something, that is no reason to be getting a completely new controller or paying the price, unless you have a really good warranty, in which case, you know, go nuts. I did have a good one for the standard one, and it was great until I got spoiled with this Elite controller. And some people make it sound like it's like, oh, once you go first class, you never go back. And it's not just a comfort thing, it is a functional thing. And then going back, it does suck. I don't think anybody goes back from an Elite controller unless they really have to. My reach exceeds my grasp. That's alright, just shoot him up. I was like, oh my god, I better not go there because my jump has been failing me. I have a pretty tough time just getting out of here. Luckily I have this grappling hook. If I didn't have it, I probably would have fallen a few times by now. Right now I'm still trying to like shift it back into position so I can get my jumps going. You know what's upstairs right now? My new computer. I gotta put together the new desk. After that, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm trying to think of what's the first game I'm gonna load on there. Maybe PUBG. I was actually thinking about playing League of Legends, which really has nothing to do with the computer. I could have played that anyways, but for some reason, I kind of feel an urge to play one of those games again. Even possibly going back to Smite. I played that on console. It was optimized, it seemed, for console. It was a little bit easier to play than the other ones. Maybe try that. Maybe even get into like some of the smaller indie games. There's just a plethora of games when you move into PC. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Not too shabby. I got it right now. I'm like pressuring it in, and I'm like, okay, this is doable. But after this game, I'm like, I'm gonna turn off my Xbox because I need to figure out what is going on. Again, try your own repairs on these controllers. You just need a couple of spare ones. Luckily, I had some old ones. At one point, I got a couple as gifts, but I was using an Elite, so I'm like, yeah, you'll go on the shelf. You're nice to look at, so that's cool. So people are like, how'd that guy get me so fast? Well, I used a dash. On the replay cam isn't going to show you much more. Sometimes it seems like players are lagging, but they're just moving really fast. And if you're somebody that's flat-footed, it's kind of like having somebody stop in front of you on the highway. They just come up really quick. Really? The tide doesn't go to the pilot?
Keep pushing, pilot. We're barely ahead.
So while I wasn't expecting the bumper to go, but I'm kind of happy it did now because it feels real nice. By the way, side note, not all controllers have the exact same paddle, same bumper setup. Some of them have individual pieces which will not fit in on Elite, so if you happen to take one of those apart, well, better put it back together because you're not going to be using those parts for that fix. Originally, all I wanted to fix was the sticks because I had this big dead zone in the center because, well, I don't know exactly what causes it. There isn't really a cushion inside of the controller, at least not on the Elite, so I'm not too sure what influences that. But a quick fix was to just grab a little bit of cotton and put it on the end. Don't just stuff it in there because that's just gonna push your controller up. Kind of put it around the little peg on the stick, and then place it into its socket or slot, whatever you want to call it, and just snug it in there. If it doesn't feel right, take it out and start over again, and you're gonna be able to find a nice fix. I hate tones. That shot's way too easy. I'm never impressed, guys. I'm never impressed by a tone. The only thing that, well, if we're gonna talk what impresses me about tone, it's still that core. If you manage to maneuver it, you could probably shoot it through this building, curve it up, and still get a kill on a Titan. I like those little skips with the grapple. When you kind of shoot yourself into the ground. I'm like, that's not where I want to be. If any kind of, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. The jump is, jump. I was saying, sometimes when you're trying to give somebody a battery, if there's too much action going on, you're likely gonna die. You gotta be sneaky with those battery steals as well as just when you want to give them up. I'm determined to play well right now, so I'm like really forcing it because I'm like, if I can get over 30 kills with this broken controller, I'm posting this video. And then we're gonna talk a little bit about the fix. I'm like, there. The whole theme is complete. I can barely jump to go get this guy. There's a bunch of good guides on how to take apart Elite controllers. Look for the one with the thumbnail where it's all disassembled. The guy takes it all apart. It's a really good video, and then he puts it all back together. The only thing I'm going to criticize is that he tells you to take off the motherboard in order to access the bumpers, which is what I was looking to do. And I'm like, he's like, you're going to have to remove the wires and solder them back on. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And it turned out that you did not actually have to take that part off in order to access the top. You probably just didn't want to force it, but if you just grab a knife and pop it up, it does come up. And you would do that right where the Xbox glowing sign is, right underneath that. You would just pop that up. All you have to have is the back and the front off, and you can get it off. That's not too bad. It does have these security screws, though. They're like T something, but the size are like a T9 and T7, something like that, T8 maybe. I actually managed to do most of them with a flathead after I went and saw my buddy because he actually had the screws. I grabbed the set from him, but it is possible to do if you just have a small flathead and you just kind of get it in there and pressure it as you're unscrewing them. So you don't necessarily need them, but it does make it easier. The part that I found way easier is putting them back in because it's kind of It's kind of hard because there's a couple of magnets around in the controller that always try to grab the screw out as you're trying to put it into the hole. It's kind of a pain, but it's doable. And then you fix your controller. Like, I'm planning on using this Elite forever now that I know that I can just bust it open and get the replacement parts. I found out that you can order some replacement kits. Sometimes it takes a while for them to get to you if they're even available at that time. I was thinking that you can just 3D print these things. It is the future, guys. So if you need just a small piece and you have maybe a public library somewhere where you can just go and use their... Am I gonna get this kill? Okay. Nice. But if you have just like a library or anywhere where you can access a decent 3D printer, I'm sure somebody already has the specs up on it. If not, maybe you're gonna have to be the first one to do the work on it. The next thing I'll probably fix is the paddle if I ever need to on one side, or if the other one goes out, because I just moved it down when it kind of lost its clicky and its crispiness. But I feel pretty confident. It's pretty nice. Sometimes maybe you just got too much cat hair in it, who knows? My dog sheds like no one's business. It is a husky golden retriever, and that double coat is no joke. One Mississippi. Nope, someone steered me wrong. Oh, he almost got away, then he just handed it to me. But by this point, this controller's like left and right, but I figured out how to get it in there, but I'm not gonna live like that. Do your own repair, guys, especially if your hardware is not where it should be. It's a big deal when you're trying to game. You can't have things just failing or not clicking. It's very annoying, and it sucks for gameplay. Take a moment to look at your joysticks and see if they're possibly loose, or there seems like there's a lot of dead space in between, as in you move the joystick but you don't actually feel any kind of tension. That means you're not turning at that point, and it's going to make it harder to do fine movements. I didn't talk too much about PC because I just think that PC things seem to last longer, and there's so much more like customization that you can't tell anybody what to use. I'm using a Razer Black Widow, got dark chroma. It's just a nice mechanical keyboard with some lights, kind of suits the setup, and then I have a Razer mouse. I have 2 thumb buttons, so I'm gonna have to think about how I'm gonna set them up depending on what game I end up playing. PUBG, maybe.